Welcome to In the Know News, your go-to source for breaking headlines, trending stories, and deeper insights into the events shaping our world. From politics and entertainment to tech and global affairs, we bring you clear, engaging, and reliable news that keeps you in the loop. In today's episode, we dive deep into the powerful and complex impact of social media on our lives, exploring its role in politics, mental health, education, business, and more. Let's untangle the web of misinformation, polarization, and innovation together. Let's get started.
Welcome to another deep dive, everybody. Today we're going to try to tackle something that's pretty huge and frankly a little intimidating. The impact of social media on teenagers. And to help us navigate this really complex world, we've got an expert with us.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. I mean, social media really is such a powerful force, especially I think for young people. So it's just so important to really understand, both its potential and its pitfalls.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. It feels like everyone's talking about social media constantly these days, but it's hard to get past the headlines, and really grasp what's going on. And that's exactly what we're hoping to do today. We've got all sorts of research reports and articles here, just a whole stack of them.
Yeah.
And, our mission is to really extract the valuable stuff, the golden nuggets of knowledge that will help us understand this whole world a little better.
And it really is a massive world. When you think about it, over half the global population is using social media. They're spending something like 2.5 hours every single day, scrolling and liking and sharing.
2.5 hours a day.
Yeah.
Wow, that really puts it into perspective.
Yeah.
It's no wonder this topic feels so overwhelming.
Absolutely.
It's like trying to wrap your head around the whole new continent or something.
Yeah.
So where do we even begin with something this big?
Well, I think it's important to acknowledge the good stuff first.
Okay.
Social media can be a really powerful tool for connection, especially for teens who are, trying to figure out where they fit in. It lets them connect with friends and family, even if they're, miles apart.
It's like having a built-in support system always there, right? No matter where you are.
Exactly.
You can reach out, you can feel connected to the people who matter most.
And it's not just about staying in touch with people you already know. Social media can help teens find whole communities centered around things they're interested in, which can be huge, especially for teens who maybe, feel isolated or misunderstood in their offline lives.
I can totally see that. I remember feeling that way as a teenager sometimes, like I didn't quite fit in with the crowd at school or whatever.
Yeah.
And I can imagine how finding a community online could be a game changer for someone in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about, finding your people, even if they're not physically in your neighborhood.
That makes sense.
And there's actually research that backs this up. I mean, routine social media use is actually correlated with positive mental health and social well-being. There was this one study from Harvard that found that people who use social media regularly actually report feeling more connected and supported, which, can have a big impact on their overall happiness.
Really? That's interesting. I mean, you always hear about the negative aspects of social media, so it's really good to know that there are positive effects too.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to using it in a way that enhances your life.
Right.
Not detracts from it.
Right.
And it's not all about connection either. Social media can also be an amazing outlet for creativity.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's what's so fascinating about platforms like TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah.
They've given teenagers these incredible tools to express themselves creatively and share their talents with the world.
Yeah. And not just share, but collaborate and learn from each other, too. You have teenagers out there creating incredible music and art and videos, pushing the boundaries of what's possible, inspiring others along the way. It's this whole new world of creative expression that didn't exist before.
It's like having a global stage right in your pocket.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about individual expression either. Social media has played a huge role in raising awareness about important social issues, too. I mean, think about movements like Me Too and Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely.
They gained incredible momentum because of platforms like Twitter and Instagram.
For sure. Social media has given a voice to people who might not have been heard otherwise. It allows teens to, engage with social issues, learn about different perspectives, even participate in movements for positive change.
Right. It's like this digital town square where people can come together, they can share their stories, they can mobilize for causes they believe in.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about the educational potential. I mean, platforms like YouTube offer a wealth of information, tutorials on almost every subject you can imagine, documentaries that explore complex historical events. The list goes on and on.
Oh, yeah. It's like having access to a vast digital library right at your fingertips. And for teens who maybe struggle with traditional learning environments, these platforms can offer alternative ways to, you know, engage with educational material and expand their knowledge.
Yeah. It's like having a personalized tutor available 24/7.
Exactly. And that accessibility is a total game changer. It democratizes knowledge in a way that just wasn't possible before.
It's a great point.
But of course, as with any powerful tool, there's a flip side.
Right.
We can't talk about all the good without acknowledging the potential pitfalls, too. And that's what we'll dive into next. I think one of the biggest concerns with social media, especially for teenagers, is cyberbullying. It's just so much easier to hide behind a screen and say things that you might never say to someone's face.
Oh, yeah. It definitely seems like the anonymity of the internet can bring out the worst in some people. And what's really scary is how common it actually is.
Yeah, the statistics are pretty alarming. A study from 2023 by the Cyberbullying Research Center found that over half of all teenagers have experienced some form of cyberbullying.
Wow.
Whether it's harassment, spreading rumors, posting embarrassing photos or videos, the list goes on.
That's just awful. And it's not just about hurt feelings either, right?
Yeah.
Cyberbullying can have serious and long-lasting consequences
Absolutely.
for a teenager's self-esteem, their mental health.
For sure. That constant negativity, those attacks online, can lead to anxiety, depression, social withdrawal, in some cases even self-harm or suicidal thoughts.
It's a serious issue.
It really is.
And it needs to be addressed.
Absolutely.
And speaking of mental health, that seems to be another major concern when it comes to teenagers and social media.
Yeah, it's definitely a theme that comes up again and again in the research. One study by the Royal Society actually singled out Instagram as being particularly problematic for mental health. They linked it to higher rates of anxiety, depression, body image issues.
Why Instagram specifically?
Well, the researchers think it's because Instagram is so focused on visuals.
Right.
It's all about presenting this perfect curated version of yourself. And that can create these unrealistic expectations. It leads to constant comparison.
It's like that saying, comparison is the thief of joy, right?
Yeah.
And for teenagers who are already going through so many changes and insecurities, that constant comparison can be so damaging.
It really can. It fuels that feeling of FOMO, fear of missing out, which can definitely lead to anxiety and depression. It's that feeling that everyone else is having more fun, looking better, living a more exciting life than you are, which of course usually isn't true.
Yeah. It's like everyone's trying to keep up with the Joneses, but the Joneses are these fictional characters created for social media.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the whole addictive nature of social media.
Oh, right.
It's so easy to get sucked into that endless scroll, that constant stream of notifications, the little dopamine rush of likes and comments.
Oh, I know. I'm totally guilty of it. Sometimes I'll catch myself scrolling for hours and I don't even realize how much time has passed.
Yeah, you're not alone. It turns out our brains are actually wired to crave that kind of stimulation.
Really?
Yeah, the sources we have here actually delve into the neurological basis of social media addiction.
Okay.
And it's fascinating. It turns out that the dopamine rush we get from social media engagement is really similar to the rush we get from things like gambling or even drugs.
Wow, that's a little scary. It's like we're handing our teenagers a slot machine designed to keep them hooked.
Yeah, and because teenagers' brains are still developing, they're even more susceptible to this kind of addiction.
Right.
And excessive social media use can affect their sleep, their schoolwork, their relationships, their overall well-being.
Yeah. It's like they're losing hours of their lives to this digital black hole.
And then there's the whole issue of privacy. Teens often don't fully grasp the implications of sharing personal information online,
Right.
which can make them vulnerable to privacy violations and even potential harm.
It's like they're building this permanent digital footprint without even realizing that it could come back to haunt them later.
Exactly. And once something is posted online, it can be incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to completely erase.
Right. It's like a digital tattoo that can follow them forever. So we've got cyberbullying, we've got mental health concerns, addiction, privacy issues. That's a lot. But before we completely spiral into despair, Let's talk about solutions. What can we actually do to help teenagers navigate this complex world? What are some of the strategies that our sources suggest? Feels like we've uncovered a whole lot of potential problems here. Where do we even begin to address all of this?
Well, I think the first step is really just awareness. We need to make sure that both teens and adults understand the potential risks of social media and how to use it in a way that's healthy and responsible.
So it's not just about telling teenagers to put down their phones.
No, not at all. It's more about, having open and honest conversations about the challenges, but also the opportunities that come with the digital world. Parents, educators, mentors, they need to be able to talk to teens about things like cyberbullying and mental health and responsible online behavior.
Right. It's like creating a safe space where teens can ask questions and share their concerns without feeling judged or anything like that.
Exactly. And it's also about, modeling those healthy behaviors ourselves.
That's a good point.
If we're constantly glued to our phones, it sends a pretty mixed message to the teenagers in our lives.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's about leading by example.
Well, yeah.
Showing teens that it's okay to disconnect sometimes, to engage with the real world.
Right.
So beyond these individual conversations, are there any broader solutions? I mean, our sources talk a lot about the importance of digital literacy.
Yeah, for sure.
What exactly does that mean?
Well, digital literacy basically means giving teens the skills and knowledge they need to navigate the online world safely and responsibly. It's about teaching them how to evaluate sources, how to identify misinformation, how to understand privacy settings, how to manage their online reputation, all of that.
So it's like giving them a toolkit for survival in the digital age.
Exactly. And these skills are becoming more and more essential in today's world. It's not just about protecting teens from harm. It's also about, empowering them to be informed and engaged and responsible digital citizens.
So it's about teaching them to think critically about the information they encounter online.
Right.
And to use social media in a way that benefits them and their communities.
Absolutely. And that education needs to start early. We can't wait until teenagers are already completely immersed in social media to start having these conversations.
It's like teaching kids about internet safety before they even have access to the internet.
Exactly. It's about laying the foundation for healthy digital habits from a young age.
Right. Okay, so we've talked about parents and educators.
Right.
What about the role of tech companies themselves?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, do they have a responsibility to make their platforms safer for teenagers?
Absolutely. Tech companies need to be held accountable for the design of their platforms and the impact that they have on users, especially young people. I mean, we need to push for stronger regulations to protect children online. Things like age-appropriate design guidelines, stricter privacy protections, more effective measures to combat cyberbullying and the spread of harmful content.
Right. It's like demanding that the digital world be built with the well-being of children in mind. It can't just be about profit and engagement at all costs.
I agree. It's about prioritizing the ethical considerations right alongside the technological advancements.
Well, feels like we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the good, the bad, and the just plain complicated world of social media and its impact on teenagers.
Yeah.
What are some of the key takeaways that you think our listeners can walk away with?
Well, I think the most important thing to remember is that social media is a powerful tool. It has both benefits and risks. It's really important to be aware of those risks and to try to use social media in a way that enhances your life, not detracts from it.
Right. And we also need to make sure that we're equipping teenagers with the skills and knowledge they need to navigate the digital world safely and responsibly.
Right. Digital literacy is essential in today's world.
Absolutely. And finally, we need to create a culture of open communication and support. One where teenagers feel comfortable talking about their experiences online and seeking help if they need it.
Yeah.
It's about remembering that we're all in this together. Parents, educators, tech companies, and young people. We all have a role to play in creating a digital world that is safe and healthy and empowering for everyone.
It really is. It's about shaping the future of technology in a way that benefits humanity as a whole.
Well, that's a great note to end on. Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of social media. We encourage you to keep exploring this topic, keep engaging in these important conversations, and use your voice to advocate for a more responsible and humane digital future.
Well, it's been a pleasure joining you on this journey.
And to our listeners, until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and stay connected to what matters most.
Thanks for tuning in to In the Know News. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insightful conversations about the intersection of social media and society. Have thoughts or experiences to share? Drop them in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And remember, we're your go-to source for breaking headlines, trending stories, and deeper insights into the events shaping our world. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and stay in the know.